Hello my friends! If you're new here, my name is Rachel and welcome to the channel, and if you are returning, hi, welcome back. It's so nice to see you again. These past few weeks of November where I live have been nothing but gray skies, an endless drizzling of rain, and honestly just the best weather to cozy up in bed with my Switch and work on Pottsfield. I have gotten so much of the island done in the last few days, especially as the end of November is fast approaching and I am kind of freaking out. Originally, I had set a self-imposed deadline to finish Pottsfield before Thanksgiving, but Turkey Day is almost here, which means that I am in island decorating overdrive right now. Because of this, we have completed so much in this single video. Today we'll be building a cozy vintage Halloween pizza party cul-de-sac, along with a cute little fishing spot. We'll be decorating our secret beach, creating the overgrown soccer field, and last but not least, we'll be doing all 4 villager house interiors. I did format the villager interiors a bit different in this video, so they're just going to be included in the beauty shots, meaning if you want to see how those turn out, you'll have to stick around until the end of the video. But this video is honestly just jam-packed with all of the cozy autumn decorating vibes, so do make sure to cozy up somewhere warm, and let's jump straight into the speed build. First things first, we have to pull out our handy dandy island designer tool and start laying down the pathing for the cul-de-sac that we're going to be building today. Now, if you guys tuned in to my island planning video that I posted a couple weeks back where I was just rambling through the different island layout ideas that I had for Pottsfield, you'll remember that I decided to go with the second option, which had this cul-de-sac on the first tier closer to the beaches, but I decided to change that because when I was mapping out the area, I realized I just did not have enough room to pull off what I wanted to do, and I kind of threw that island design out the window. I am not going to be able to fit all of the builds that I wanted to fit. Originally, this spot was going to house 𝒷𝓊𝓃𝓃𝓎's abandoned mansion, as well as an overgrown forest and tea garden, but yeah, it's just not going to be able to come to fruition, sadly. I will save it in my bank of build ideas for a different island in the future, maybe, because I love that idea, maybe for like an elegant core island, like maybe taking the like ruined island theme and mixing it with an like abandoned elegant core. I think that would be so cool to like build mansions and castles and also use like the ruined items. Oh, that would be so pretty, but I'm getting way off track. Like I said, this is where 𝒷𝓊𝓃𝓃𝓎's mansion was going to go originally, with an overgrown forest as well as an abandoned like tea garden situation. But yeah, it just didn't end up working out, and sometimes that's okay and works out better in the end regardless. As Greg would say in Over the Garden Wall, ain't that just the way?
Ain't that just the way?
But yeah, as you can see here, I'm just trying to go through and figure out the dimensions of this cul-de-sac. When I say I struggled, I mean I struggled trying to get this cul-de-sac situation figured out. I don't know why, but my brain was viewing this like geometry, like math class, and it just could not compute. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I'm very bad at math. Math is like my least favorite subject. I have always been bad at it my entire life, and I just could not for the life of me figure out how to get this area situated. The dimensions were just so confusing, so it took me like 6 or 7 tries to get this pathing right, but it finally came along in the end. I just kept making it like way too big and not symmetrical, but like I said, we figured it out. So you'll also see that I have all of the villager houses placed as well as updated, and they will not be staying like this. I was not super happy with the facades that I put together for these homes, so I will be updating those later on in the video to be a bit more cohesive as well as fitting into a bit of a better color scheme. And I did this because in cul-de-sacs and neighborhoods in real life, usually they're all built by one architect or one like land development company, which means that all of the homes are done all at once. At least that's how it is here in America, and so a lot of times the homes will look very similar. There's usually like 2 or 3 different types of model homes that you can choose from with different fixtures, so I thought for like a little touch of realism I could try and do something like that here. But we are also finishing up the cul-de-sac pathing. I went through and did all of the tree placement off screen because there was a lot of trees in this area, and now we are just working on this centerpiece. I want to talk about this really quick because this centerpiece means a lot to me. I decided I wanted to go through and put a little pizza party in this cul-de-sac because for me growing up, during Halloween we would always do a neighborhood pizza party on Halloween night. So all of the kids would get dressed up when we got home from school, and we would all come out to the cul-de-sac around 5 o'clock after all the parents had ordered pizza. They would set up like folding out tables tables, put all the pizza out, and all of the kids would show up in their costumes. We would show off our cute little outfits, and then we would eat a ton of pizza before going trick-or-treating to help fuel us for our night of adventuring. And it's just honestly such a good memory for me because of the fact that we used to do this growing up. I had such a great sense of community in the neighborhood that I grew up in. I met a lot of my childhood friends through doing this, and it was just such a good time. So I wanted to pull something similar off on this part of the island. I just think it's so cute that all of these villagers are hanging out Halloween night and eating some pizza. But as you can see here, I'm now going through and putting together Pudge's house. Now, of course, Pudge has the play hobby, which means he likes to run around and be a little goofball. So I decided to give him a little picnic, big shocker, but I wanted to give him a board game situation. Maybe him and Kevin, his BFF, are in the middle of a board game or something. I just love this idea. Of course, I gave him ample snacks to munch on, and I love this little picnic blanket code that I found on Pinterest. Of course, per usual, all of my codes will be put in the description box down below. I'm still trying to update some old codes from some older videos, so if there's any codes that you guys are desperately in need of that I feature in my videos that I do not have in the description box, do please let me know. I have no problem trying to just hunker down and search through everything. Please let me know. But this blanket is so cute. It almost gives me a retro 70s type of vibe. I think it's adorable. So I just went through and cluttered up the area with some weeds. I have this idea that Pudge maybe doesn't take care of his house very well because he is a lazy villager, so maybe doing things like yard work and housework is not his favorite thing to do. So I wanted to go through and put lots of weeds in his front yard. Maybe it's a little rude of me, maybe I'm calling him out by doing so, but I think it just fits with lazy villagers to have homes that are a bit messier. So I like to go through and do that whenever I'm decorating a lazy villager's house. And so you'll see here that I am going to go through and create a little wheat field side yard. Now the reason I did this is because I thought it would be super cute if Pudge maybe has an overgrown yard. He's been meaning to mow the lawn, but he just hasn't gotten around to finishing it because he's too lazy. You'll also see here that I totally just trapped Vesta into a baby prison. She is in baby jail, she is stuck, and she will not be able to get out, so I do apologize. But I just went through and put down his little lawnmower, which I think is so cute. I also gave him a little side table with 2 lawn chairs that has a bit of a little Halloween trick-or-treating situation. I'm just going through now and extending out his yard behind his house with some wheat fields, and that is pretty much it for Pudge. We're now going to move over to Vesta's house, where I just put down the same brick front yard pathing before we move on to a little side garden for her. Now, of course, Vesta is a normal villager, which means that she cares a lot about baking and cooking and cleaning and just overall being very normal. So I decided to give her a little flower garden slash veggie garden off to the side. And now I'm just going through and extending out her home with a stonework kitchen as well as a little wooden storage shed where maybe she keeps all of her gardening supplies. We're now setting up a phonograph that is currently playing 𝒷𝓊𝓃𝓃𝓎, but I'm thinking of changing it in the future. I don't know, I really love 𝒷𝓊𝓃𝓃𝓎. I feel like that would work really well for Vesta, so that might change. We're just going through now and putting down some orange flowers. Originally, I wanted this spot to be a little bit of a pumpkin patch, and I just could not for the life of me find any of the pumpkin plants on the treasure island that I was on. So instead, I decided to go with the wheat field and instead bring the orange in with the flowers, and I think it looks really cute. We're going through now giving Vesta a little seating area. Now, I love this little teapot set that I used in front of the rocking chair. It's giving grandma core, and I love that. I feel like Vesta is very much a grandma, not in age or anything. I don't think Vesta is an old villager the same way that 𝒷𝓊𝓃𝓃𝓎 or any of the cranky villagers are older, but I feel like Vesta just is already in her grandma era, and so she has a lot of knitting supplies and crocheting supplies. It's kind of a little horrifying because she is a sheep, so where is she getting her wool? Is she getting it from her own hair? That's a little crazy to think about, but I still think it's super cute to make her a little knitting villager who makes her own sweaters and things like that, especially because she has the fashion hobby. And in this version of the game, her home is decorated to look like a laundromat, I believe, which is just why, Nintendo? Why did you do that? Give Vesta the home that she deserves. But in the older games, I think her house is decorated to look more like she runs a clothing store. So I just really like the idea of her making her own clothing, so I kind of decorated her house to be very similar, both inside and out. Like, she really cares about fashion, which you love to see it, girl boss moment. But now we're going through and filling out her front garden a little bit more. I just wanted this area to be overgrown and really filled in with flowers and plants. It's not really a spot where you're gonna be able to walk around necessarily, but I went off screen and grabbed some more items to fill out her little front yard, and now we're just placing down all of these design codes to help fill out the space a bit more. Now, when I was going through and decorating Vesta's front yard, originally I didn't put any Halloween decorations, and I thought that maybe Vesta doesn't actually like Halloween that much. Not so much that she doesn't celebrate it, but maybe because of the way that she looks, she's a bit more hesitant to go all out for Halloween, because some people think that she is a little bit spooky or a little bit creepy maybe. So she went very minimal with her Halloween decorations. Instead of her pumpkins being carved out, I decided to leave them on the plain side because maybe she feels more comfortable feeling festive if she doesn't go the spookier route for Halloween. Maybe it's like a sad little backstory that she has, but I like the idea of her having a bit more like of a traditional view. Like, maybe she prefers Turkey Day over Halloween. So yeah, I just decided to give her some regular pumpkins instead. I'm finishing out her little garden with a fence area, and that is pretty much it for her little house. I think it turned out so cute. I just am really happy with all of the villager yards in this cul-de-sac, but there's just something about Vesta's that is so autumnal and just the coziest of all the yards. But now we're going to be moving to the top right of the cul-de-sac, where we're going to be working on Felicity's yard. And while I'm decorating it, I just want to talk about Felicity's backstory a little bit. I went through and tried to give backstories and personalities for all of my villagers, and I have just been so excited to talk about Felicity's because it's so fun and so different. So my idea for Felicity is that she is a horror movie fanatic who absolutely loves Halloween. It's her favorite holiday of the entire year, and so when Halloween comes around, she likes to go all out and have a Halloween party at her house. So I decided to decorate her home to look pretty spooky. I didn't want to go all out the way that I did at Bee's house, but I wanted to go crazy enough to showcase her love for the holiday. And I have Cole as her best friend. They are lifelong friends, but Cole absolutely hates all things spooky. I decided to go with this because his face just looks like he's constantly scared. So maybe Felicity forces him to watch scary movies, and he absolutely hates it, but he does it because Felicity is his best friend and he knows that it makes her happy, so he will sit through all the jump scares for her. And I just love the idea of Felicity, this peppy villager with this super bright, bubbly personality, just loving like slasher, horror flicks, like all of that crazy, gory type of stuff. And I just feel like it's such a like interesting juxtaposition for her personality. So I just went through and decorated her home with lots of pumpkin decor. Now this spooky arch will be customized in a different color later on, as well as the candy bowls that we have laid out, just because I feel like the purple just doesn't really go in this area. It's a little bit too much of a contrast, so I will be changing them for a bit more of a neutral pumpkin color scheme. But yeah, I'm going through and fencing off this area to kind of close in the neighborhood a little bit. Now, of course, she does share her yard with Cole, so I decided to set up a little pumpkin carving table for her and Cole. I set down the 𝒷𝓊𝓃𝓃𝓎, I believe is what that is, or it's like a bread soup bowl, but I thought it almost looked like a little pumpkin with the pumpkin guts not carved out yet. So I set that on the table because I just could not craft a cutting board. I didn't have the DIY for it, and I don't know why, but it was just so difficult for me to get that. So instead I just set the table up with a bunch of pumpkins. I also have a Plain Lights party arch because you know me and how much I love that item. I'm going through now and just setting down some miscellaneous clutter. I will be going through off screen and filling this in even more later on in the video. It's just really hard to record placing items behind trees because the trees take up so much of the screen. So just know that these parts will be filled in with more flowers and weeds later on. But now we are moving on to Cole's house. Cole's house is the last house in the neighborhood, and the storyline that I have for Cole is that he loves to garden. Of course, Cole is a lazy villager, so he loves bugs, so I wanted to give him a little outdoor space to hang out in. I believe Cole has the nature hobby, which is why I was pretty adamant on giving him this adorable little vegetable garden. He is a bunny villager, of course, so the veggie garden that he has is full of carrots, which might be a little stereotypical, but of course I think it is cute. I just feel like it makes a lot of sense. But I like the idea of Cole having his little veggie garden that he likes to spend his time in, and maybe he gives out his extra vegetables to villagers in town, maybe in like a little farmer's market situation. I think that that's super cute. So I just decided to clutter up his side garden with all of the farming and gardening items that I could find, and it just turns into such a cute little spot. I feel like it helps kind of break up the really intense Halloween vibe that we have going on and makes it feel a bit more transitional from Halloween to just fall time in general. Now, as I mentioned, all of the villager exteriors are going to be updated later on in the video. Originally, I liked the idea of Cole having this darker green house because of him having this very natural yard, but the green is just way too different from the other homes, so he will have a bit more of an orange color scheme in a little bit, but I still think that it looks really nice. And yeah, we're just going through and filling out his yard with a couple of different like floral items, like some bushes, some flowers, a decayed tree as well. And now we're going to be placing all of the carrot plants in his little carrot garden. I just think this spot is so cute. Now, of course, I have to fill in the front of his house with some more plants. I'm giving him a little project table with a bug on it. Sadly, you can't really see the bug. It's a spider. I liked it because of the orange cage that it has, but you can't really see the spider because the way that the table is set up, but that's okay. I messed around with this table quite a bit. I go through and fix it because the proportions on it were just not like configuring themselves as well as I would have liked them to. So I mess around with it quite a bit, but I settle on this layout for the table situation. I really like the bush sitting in front of it because I feel like it takes up some extra dead space. Of course, I had to go through and add some bottles with the apple cider design on them to showcase that he loves the apple cider from my little apple orchard that my villager has. And now we're just putting the final touches on Cole's house, and that is it. So now that we have finished up all of the villager yards, we are here in real time to walk through the cul-de-sac because I did make some changes off camera. It was just some minor things like some color correction, I added some extra pathing to some spots, and of course I wanted to update all of the villager home facades. So I just want to walk through and show you guys what has changed. It's very minimal, but still I just want to be able to show it off to you, as well as walking through the area we're going to be working on next. So if we head on up, of course, as you can see, I built an incline right here. Very helpful because I was using vines to get up and down from this area, so we have a little incline. Now, the only thing that has changed in Pudge's area is, of course, his home facade. I went through and updated it to be a bit more cozy. I used the siding instead of the metal paneling, just because I didn't really like the metal paneling. It felt very cold. So instead, I gave him this house that looks a lot cozier. If we head off to the side of his house, you can see that I updated the stuff that was on top of the table. I wanted to go through and give him the green candy bowl as well as the one by Cole and Felicity because I feel like it matches better with the color schemes we have going on. The purple was just way too saturated, so I decided to go with this instead. I also changed out the spooky cookies for the veggie cookies. Now, I don't think that anyone would enjoy eating veggie cookies, but I feel like the colors make a lot of sense on this little table, so I'm just gonna pretend that maybe they're just like orange colored sugar cookies or something. But yeah, so that's really all that changed for Pudge's house. Now, I really loved going through and adding these little tables with the candy bowls. It kind of plays into what I did in the other neighborhood where the trick-or-treating stations were outside of the villagers' homes. So maybe this is where Pudge and Vesta sit where all the trick-or-treaters come. They can just like walk up to the table and they can hand it out, which I thought was really cute. But heading on to Vesta's, not much has changed over here as well. I did fix up her facade a little bit and give her a really cozy little home as well. The only major changes in this area is this little table setup that we have right here. In the previous version, I had the marigold decoration on top, which I love that item. However, I hate the little purple mat underneath. I wish that we could either just like not have the mat there at all or be able to customize it for a different color of mat, because once again, the purple was very saturated. So instead, I decided to change it out for another pumpkin, which I just feel like plays into the rest of this like Halloween decoration that we have going on for her, and it looks very festive. Next, we're going to go over to Cole's house, and nothing with his layout necessarily changed. The only thing that changed is the facade. It is very, very different than the one that I had on his previous home version. This one is just a lot more like saturated. It's almost like cartoony, but not in a bad way, and I like how it looks because it is different than Pudge and Vesta's homes. I love this like stucco design. I just feel like it looks so soft. And last but not least, we are going to go over to Felicity's, where of course we have changed her facade as well as this spooky arch. I feel like this in the yellow variation looks so much better. It seems to pop so much more, as well as just like fitting in better with the other pumpkins that we have in this spot, like the yellow pumpkins. And then last but not least, the only thing that has changed is that we have a dirt path underneath this little like table area. I just felt like it looked really bare, so I wanted to give a little dirt spot where they have their little table. And that is pretty much it for all of the changes that I made to the cul-de-sac. Like I said, I am still so happy with how this area turned out. I also may or may not have gone a little hog wild off camera and did like all of the villager interiors. I'm so sorry. I meant to record them. I was just going through to plan them out, and the next thing I know, I was just doing all of them. Now I wish that more of the villagers were inside their homes so that we could walk through them. But yeah, so I'm going to take you guys over and up to show you the spot that we're going to be working on next. Like I said, I did fill all this stuff in with some flowers and stuff off camera as well. But heading up this dirt path, we have Cole hanging out by this beautiful little lake. Now this lake area is something that I filled in off screen, and I just put some garden lanterns on some stepping stones because at nighttime it glows and it's so beautiful. And we also have a little like waterfall area. It's kind of hard to see because of all the stuff that we have going on, but I just used some medieval sidewalls and a waterfall to kind of fill in that area, give it some more interest. And yeah, I just love how this spot looks. I'm going to outfit this to be just a little fishing area. Of course, we have both Kevin and Cole hanging out here to fish, so that's kind of why I got the inspiration to turn this into like a little like fishing watering hole situation. So that's how we're gonna decorate this. Off to this side over here, which it's so fitting that Kevin's hanging out here because this is where the overgrown soccer field is going to go. I'm going to try and fit everything in as best as I can in this area, but of course we've gone through and outfitted all of the flowers, shrubs, and trees just to get a better layout of this area. Now, like I said, I did all of the trees off camera because it's really hard to decorate behind trees when they're like fully grown, because if I come back here and try to place something, you will not see what I'm placing whatsoever. So that's why I just went ahead and put all the trees down, and we will take care of the designs as well. Now, down here really quickly, this is Kevin's house, and this is the spot that is going to lead him up to the soccer field, because of course Kevin is a jock villager and he is very interested in soccer, so I wanted to give him like very close access to the soccer field, which is why we're going to be putting it up here. And then the last spot that we're going to work on today is, if you follow this little dirt path, we're going to head to the secret beach. So heading this way, there is a vine right here. You can't really see it, but if you're touring, just know that there is a vine right here that you can get down, and we have a secret beach. Now the idea for this area is going to be a little art stand station, like a place where a villager could come and work on art. Like maybe Felicity or Vesta or Kiki are really into painting or something like that. Maybe Kiki because she has the education hobby or something. But yeah, going through and making it to where villagers can work on some art over here, like maybe it's somebody's little private art place. I also got the idea to do that because that is where Red's boat shows up, and of course Red's is where you buy art in the game, so I was like, maybe as a little ode to Red we could do that. But yeah, so that is my idea for this area. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start building. So in my original layout for Pottsfield, I had no intention of decorating the secret beach, but I found myself just really wanting to make this cute little seaside painting spot. I had so many beautiful paintings in my storage, like the sunflowers from Vincent van Gogh photo, as well as the Jolly painting. I'm not sure what that one is called in real life, but it looks just like something out of Over the Garden Wall. If you didn't know, Over the Garden Wall actually has a secondary mini-series. It's kind of a precursor to the TV show. It's called Tome of the Unknown, and you can find it on YouTube. And if you have like 11 minutes to spare, I highly recommend going and watching it. It's so cute, but it's from the original animators, and there's a character in it that's actually a little vegetable man, and he is so cute.
What do you think?
I'm thinking it's a mite upscale for the likes of me.
Yeah, I don't see any geese.
And he reminds me a lot of the guy from the Jolly painting, so I feel like I just had to add that. But as you saw, I quickly went through and decorated the fishing spot with some wheat fields, of course a decoy duck, and some fishing rods, as well as a black bass. And now I'm just going through and fitting out the soccer field with some wheat fields as well. I wanted the soccer field to feel very overgrown, like maybe back in the day the soccer field was used a lot more frequently, and now it's just kind of been forgotten about because it's tucked all the way in this back corner. I also use these stadium lights, which is an item I've never gotten to use before, and I love how this turned out. It's so beautiful at nighttime. I took some beauty shots at night so you can see how everything looks, but I just love putting this together. It gave me such a citycore feel, and I tried to figure out a way that I could bring across that citycore vibe but still keep it very vintage. So this almost feels like something from the 1980s. I don't know why, but something about it feels like this was a place that was very popular maybe in the 70s or 80s and has since kind of fallen out of favor with the townsfolk maybe. I am not entirely sure like why the soccer field is entirely abandoned, but I love the look of it. I just feel like it gives it so much more character than having a very rigid soccer field, I guess is the best way to describe it. Something that is more manicured and upkept. I feel like this just gives the area so much more character and looks like the type of place that would be behind a neighborhood. But now I'm just going through and filling in the soccer field with some dirt. As you can see in the background, I put a little hand washing station. I thought maybe that could be like a little water fountain. I also have a retro transportation bench because there isn't technically any bleachers in game, so I thought that that was the best substitute for bleachers that I could include. But I just really love how this whole area turned out. It's so like autumnal. It almost reminds me of like Gilmore Girls, or I've never actually watched Gilmore Girls, so maybe I shouldn't say that, but it reminds me of something that's set in autumn from like the early 2000s, almost like Monster House. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Monster House, but this reminds me of that movie for some reason. I actually have been meaning to rewatch that movie. It was supposed to be a piece of inspiration behind Pottsfield before I really figured out what the image of the island was going to be, and I just think it's such a cute movie, at least from what I remember. I don't know if it's necessarily aged well, so don't quote me on that, but at the same time, I feel like the vibes are definitely there, and this kind of reminds me of that movie. But I'm just going through and cluttering up the front of the soccer field a bit more to just give it that kind of grown-in look. I still wanted to make it to where you could walk around the soccer field, so I just included some weeds, but now I'm going through and filling up this pathing area underneath where all of the items were. I picked all the items up and decided that I wanted to fill the space in a bit more with some dirt just to give it more of that rustic type of look. But this is actually pretty much everything. I can't wait to show you guys the beauty shots. I decided that I'm going to feature the villager interiors in the beauty shots as well, since we did not build those together. So I really hope that you guys will enjoy looking through everything with me. So without further ado, let's go take a look at the beauty shots. Alrighty, my friends, that is everything for the speed build and the beauty shots, so I hope that you love how it all turned out. I had so much fun as always working on this build, and just being able to put something together like this and share it with you guys is always so amazing, so I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the build. I do just want to apologize really quickly for the villager home beauty shots kind of being all over the place. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be to take pictures inside the villager homes because they are so tiny and there was so much stuff in the way, like partition walls and different shelves. So I do apologize that I wasn't able to give you guys a better look at some of the homes. If you have a particular editing style that you like to see villager homes being done in, do let me know down below. I know some people just save villager homes for the island tour. Some people will do them in singular videos where they just focus on one villager's house being done in real time. So if there's a way that you prefer to watch villager houses being done, do let me know. Really quickly, I just want to say that with the end of November basically being right around the corner, I'm trying to finish up Pottsfield as quickly as I can, at least before December rolls around. I'm currently in the process of trying to make a few more speed build videos that will finish out the entire island before we do our tour, but considering that the holidays start this upcoming week, I'm a little afraid that I won't have enough time to do the recording and the editing. There's just so much that's going to be going on over the next couple of weeks, so I am stressing out slightly, but it's okay. I just would really like to have Pottsfield finished out and our new island started by December 1st, but I can't make any promises. Only time will tell if we'll be able to get something like that done. But regardless, I am trying to possibly get out multiple speed builds next week, so do stay tuned and, check out the channel throughout the week to make sure, because I am thinking about posting a speed build on Wednesday and Friday as well as Sunday. But once again, don't hold me to it just in case this week ends up being a lot busier than I expect it to be. But regardless, I can't wait to hear all of your wonderful and amazing feedback on this video, and I hope that you enjoyed watching. If you did, please leave a like as well as subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of all future uploads. We are very, very close to having 1,500 subscribers, which is a bit of a milestone on the channel. I have something planned for you guys at 1,500 subs as well as 2,000. So the closer we can get to those numbers, the quicker I can kind of share some news with you guys. So if you have not yet subscribed, I would love to have you around. But thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.